So you focus on range training and hard skills, and that's something you consistently talk about.
Yep.
So tactics. Average police officer, police academy, what would that look like to train tactics versus just training skills? Or would you even separate those things?
You have to separate them, right? I always believe that the foundational skills of marksmanship is trained in absence of tactics.
Okay.
Right? There's no tactics on the range. When you're doing tactical training, whatever it is, CQB, vehicle stuff, force on force, whatever the scenario is, you cannot do that in absence of marksmanship.
Okay.
But what happens is tactics are almost exclusively trained on the LE side in absence of marksmanship, where they don't care, because what happens, the reality is the foundation of the house of tactics that you build are built on hard skills. For 99% of all the officers, that foundation is still wet, right? It's not hardened, it's not developed. So as they build this house, it starts to fall apart immediately as soon as they try to use it.
So when you say in absence, do you mean together at the same time, or do you mean like this has to come before that one?
Yes, hard skills, shooting has to come before tactics, 100%, right? Any tactics training that you do, a vehicle thing, right, leads to a lethal engagement. CQB builds to the worst case scenario is a lethal engagement, right? All of those fights are shooting problems at their root, right? It's not a where to stand problem, right? It's a deliver energy to the target problem. And most of the people that emphasize tactics don't possess the skill, the baseline skill to deliver energy to the target, right? That's what I've seen across a huge section of the law enforcement world.
So you would say don't even spend, like you're not qualified yet to have that conversation about CQB or about vehicle stuff because you don't have
It's
the
not
foundation.
it's not a qualified thing. You can have the conversation, right? And I understand you have to do it in vehicles, but the sad state of affairs is that the 40 hours of training you got in the academy and the 50 rounds a year that you dedicate to your qual is not enough for you to survive that engagement. You're surviving them based off of luck and based off of, overwhelming numbers against the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like building the house, if you think hard skills are the foundation, would it make sense to build the roof of the house first and then try to build the walls under it? It's crazy, right? But there's an idea that, training hard skills takes more resources, takes more time. It's harder to do than to tell guys where they should stand in a room or where they should stand around a vehicle. Right, that is more exciting to people. Sitting in a vehicle and shooting out of the windshield is, in my opinion, that's a 2-second conversation. Right, the only thing you have to believe is that the bullets do unpredictable things when they hit intermediate barriers. They're inconsistent and unpredictable. But guys will emphasize that as a block of training that, yeah, when we shoot into a car, the bullets go into the car, sometimes they go through the car, and it's unpredictable how they behave based off what they hit. And some rounds perform better than others. Do we need to spend 3 or 4 hours of doing that on a range? Or would it be better off if we spent 3 or 4 hours of refining our grip, our vision, our connection to the rifle or pistol, and learning how to shoot the gun in a way that mimics the engagement that we potentially could have? To me, it's a no-brainer.
What about for like the private citizen who wants to do like concealed carry stuff and doesn't have, like your average cop is going to go out on the street and get practical experience about interacting with people and like distance and use of cover and use of like contact and cover principles with like another patrol officer or something like that. Your average private citizen may not have any of that context, right? They've never been in a fight before. They've never had to deal with conflict, and they're like, hey, I want to carry a gun. Is there a time and a place to introduce some of those concepts about tactics into their training, or should they just focus on hard skills and shooting?
I think they're better off focusing on hard skills and shooting, right? Unless tactics are team-based events.
Well, so I guess concepts like use of distance and use of cover. things like that.
So use of cover, if you have the ability to use cover in a concealed carry engagement, right? You probably have the ability to retreat. Right? Those fights are close in fights and they're very fast, right? And they're usually decided on who can make the bullets go where they want to fastest. Not where to stand, not this mindset thing. If you want to develop mindset, I think guys, you want to have a hard mentality and a hard mindset, go put yourself through hard things.
Okay.
Do hard stuff, right? Get into a fight club. Start boxing. Figure out where your catch wrestling gym is, right? Get into something that you have physical contact with other people, right? The thing that always would blow me away is guys that are, like you said, like I've never been in a fight, but now I really want to start training combatives. The step one is get into jiu-jitsu. That's the easiest barrier to entry, and get now to where you can start having jiu-jitsu fights in a controlled environment with other people, live rolling sessions, learn some skills, right, and kind of inoculate yourself to what that fight would look like. And then in terms of tools, whether it's it's guns, it's knives or whatever, you start training your competency and proficiency with that tool. Right. And I think that when that journey starts, it just never ends. Right. But in terms of this idea of I'm a civilian and I need to take a CQB class, I mean, let's be honest. Do you want to take it because you're interested or because you're a part of some civilian team that goes and clears objectives, right? Because I know CQB is a team event. If you have to figure out that where you should stand around a car if you get into a gunfight around your car, right? Just apply some critical thought to that, right? It's easy to see that there's parts of the car that stop bullets, but at the end of the day, if someone's shooting at me, I need to present enough of myself to them where I can shoot back at them. And then again, that fight becomes a shooting problem and not a where to stand problem. It's just my opinion.
Okay.
Guys they want the magic pill. They want the easy answer. You want to develop a good, solid fighting mindset. Go to a place where you can get into fights. Start boxing, right? Start grappling. Do pancration. Do combat sambo. There's lots of places where you can go and seek this stuff out.